Why should we push for carbon pricing? Today, we are going to talk about one central tool of the low-carbon transition, carbon pricing. In 2018, the World Bank identified 40 national, supranational or subnational carbon pricing initiatives, and 10 more should be operational in the next 2 years. The Carbon Pricing Leadership Coalition that supports carbon pricing implementation worldwide includes more than 270 partners, nations, NGOs, and more than 150 companies such as EDF, Nestlé, Saint-Gobain, Shell, and ENGIE. A recent report by Joseph Stiglitz and Nick Stern recommends that carbon prices worldwide should range between $40 and $80 in 2020 and $50 to $100 in 2030. So, what does carbon pricing mean exactly? And why is it of interest for states and companies? In practice, there are 3 main ways to put a price on carbon. The first is through a fee or tax. France, Sweden, Chile, Mexico, but also Unilever or Société Générale have implemented such taxes. In this case, the central authority directly decides that emitting a ton of carbon will cost, say, $50. This price is then transformed into a tax on fossil fuels or directly applied to reported emissions. The second option is to set a cap on emissions over a given period and for given emitters, give or sell each of them a share of this emission budget and allow them to trade it, hence the name cap and trade. With such a system, emitters that can reduce their emissions to a low cost can sell their surplus share to others that do not have the same ability. The European Union, California, and the US Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative have implemented such solutions. The third option is called a shadow price. In this case, nothing is actually paid, but a profitability calculation for investment decisions factors in the cost of a company's lifetime emissions, times a chosen value, $50 per tonne, for example. France, the UK, but also Total, BNP Paribas or Saint-Gobain use such a price. ENGIE's internal shadow price drove the group's decision to move away from coal in late 2015. So now, what hell is this? Firstly, it discourages pollution. Paying for your emissions makes you aware of them. Secondly, it is a fair way to share responsibility for greenhouse gas emissions. In the same way you pay for dumping your garbage, you pay for your pollution. The revenues are then invested in low-carbon projects, allocated to a central budget and used to reduce taxes or directly returned to taxpayers, protecting vulnerable industries and citizens. Thirdly, internal carbon prices help multinational companies to adapt to heterogeneous legislation and anticipate future regulations, avoiding brutal changes. Today, 1,400 companies have an internal carbon price or are considering having one. So is this the solution to all of our problems? Well, obviously no. Predictable carbon prices support the long-term thinking needed to make this transition as beneficial as possible for companies and for households. However, this is only one element of the policy toolbox. The right question is how to articulate it with norms, education, or project-based finance.